Joining me now is Tara Maller, a former CIA military analyst. Tara, from the looks of this, according to the conversations I've been having on air, this doesn't look like a very sophisticated attack. Is that more concerning?
Well, it doesn't look sophisticated in general in that it wasn't coordinated with lots of moving parts, but it is more sophisticated than the attacks we've seen previously. The attacks that we've seen with knives or cars are very crude, low sophistication attacks. In this attack, there was a bomb that had to have been built. We don't know the forensics of the type of bomb yet. And there was a suicide bomber that was probably trained in some capacity, whether that was either online through contact with a terrorist group or direct training. We don't really know that yet, even though we have some sense of who this individual was. We don't know his context to ISIS or other groups. ISIS has issued a claim, so they're claiming the attack. But again, it wasn't a highly coordinated attack with, a larger cell, or it doesn't seem like there were multiple parts to this, but it is more sophisticated than some of the attacks we've seen, like, for example, the Westminster Bridge attack.
Does this make it harder to identify lone attackers, to track down his network, if he had a network? And what, from your knowledge, are intelligence agencies across the world doing right now in order to find out as much as they can about this bomber?
Sure. There are probably two parts to the investigation. There's on the ground, on the scene, looking at the forensics of the bomb itself to see if it matches with other types of bombs that were used. Was it a hydrogen peroxide bomb, something that could be materials that could be easily obtained but also require some explosives training to make a successful bomb? And then the other part of the investigation is going to really dive into this individual, his background, his contacts, his social media use perhaps, his emails, his phone calls. Who is he in touch with? Were there other individuals that were part of this plot in assisting as an accomplice at the stadium during the concert that evening? And for the most part, the most important part of this investigation right now for British authorities is to make sure nothing else is being planned in coordination or conjunction with this attack.
Tara, this was an attack on young girls and family members coming out of a concert. How does this affect the propaganda message coming out of ISIS? They're not targeting adults. They're targeting young girls.
You raise a really interesting point, and hopefully one of the things that hopefully we can hope out of this is that perhaps it will turn potential recruits away from joining when they see the brutal, horrific measures that ISIS is engaging in. We sometimes see terrorist groups undergo fissures because there are debates about the types of horrific tactics they're using. But it just goes to show the barbaric nature of ISIS, its propaganda, and its attacks. And many of their propaganda materials are easily and readily available on social media platforms, and this is a really integral part of this problem. The technology companies really need to start cracking down on getting this content off their platforms, because in a lot of these cases, and we don't know here, but investigators will look into this, in a lot of these cases, these individuals become exposed to content online. They're radicalized through contact with ISIS individuals online and their materials online. And the FBI has said that they've seen the flash to bang time in these cases shorten, which means the time of exposure to radical content to the time of the attack, we're seeing condense. And that makes it a lot more difficult for law enforcement to intervene.
Wow. 22 people dead. 12 of them were children. So far, 2 have been identified, and one of them was an 8-year-old girl. Tara Maller, thank you very much.
Thanks.